Donovan Herman. I was just a PFC. I was just in the infantry. I was drafted, and that's where I ended up in Campaign, Texas, in infantry training, 17 weeks. Because I remember when we came in and we saw the guys that were graduating from the 17 weeks before, and they were marching, I thought, wow, will we ever be able to do that? It's so good, you know. But in the end, we were the same thing. Well, I guess I knew what was coming up because it's two of us, a brother a year younger, and I felt a little guilty that I wasn't in. And then they called my number, and they said I could stay until Dad got through seating. So on May 4th, I was drafted at Fort Snelling into the Army. Oh, we learned how to shoot every weapon there was, from flamethrower to BAR, bazooka, and everything. Machine gun, I was in 30 caliber machine gun, air-cooled, not water-cooled, air-cooled. And we went through all that at the rifle range and machine gun range, and went on a 21-mile hike, and had a lot of PT, and it was boring because we had dry runs for 7 or 8 weeks before we used any live ammunition. And I thought, this is foolish, but every time we went to live, there was always some guy that goofed up, wasn't paying attention, so I guess I had to do it. And when we, we used to shoot the grenade off the M1s, and you're supposed to put a clip in a snap, you know. And this one guy besides me, he just let the thing flip and put it on. It just happened to be a staff sergeant right behind me. And he saw it, or we would have been blown up, I guess. He says, hit the ground, and there's a log there. And so it went off right in front of us, below, because the guy didn't put it, you know, to catch on the latch. All that stuff bugged me, because I thought, well, we were trained long enough to learn. Well, when I went in, I had an inferiority complex because I think I was about 148 pounds. And I looked at a lot of these guys, 180, you know. And we had it was in about an 8-foot square box, and you had to get in there, and then you had a rifle with a bayonet, but it had the end on it, you know. And then you're supposed to pretend like you're going to stab him. What do you call it? I forget the word. Anyway, I disarm him, you know. And I was in one of the Iason twins. He was a big guy, but I don't know. I could beat him every time, so it built my confidence up really, because. And there's other things too we had to do, whereby I thought size would hinder me, but it didn't. Same way when I had PT, every Friday we'd have to run a mile, and we'd do all the exercises and run a mile. And I was never first, but I was with the first 4 or 5. And a lot of the guys, we called it the meat wagon, pick them up and away, heavy guys. Well, you know, the war was over while I was in basic training. See, I didn't get in until May 4th. It finished May 8th. So I thought I'd go to the Pacific. And what happened then, they sent me home in furlough. And the last day when I was on KP, I got a piece of steel wool on my finger. And like a fool, I tried to take it out with my knife. And while I was home on furlough, it started swelling up. And then we traveled, I don't know why they did that once, Kansas City, and then to Ogden, Utah, and up to Adair, Oregon. Do you want to know that stuff? Well, by the time I got to Ogden, Utah, I had a fever, and it swelled up way up to here. So I reported to the medics, and he said, well, you'll have to get off here, take you to the hospital. And then just before he left, he said, no, they picked up a hospital car, so you won't have to. So I remember I watched him start, but that's all I remember. When he cut it open, I passed out. Well, then when I got to Camp Adair, that's a Navy hospital, but I don't know why. I ended up there because I guess, and of course, you know how you do in the military. You go in a big place here and walk all around naked. I had the bandage on here, and I never told anybody anything. Nobody noticed it. So when I got home to where I was going in my barracks, I reported on sick call. He stuck a thermometer in my eye. He says, you're going to the hospital, you got a fever, 104. And I ended up there about 8 weeks just for this infection. And from there they shipped me to Fort Ord, California, and I just did training and more than fooling around. And then one day they called us out. They don't tell you anything, you know, and I got our troop train. We went all across the United States to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. And we were there probably a week or so, and then we got on a ship and head for Europe. 9 days, and it's funny, I was scared of water, but I never got seasick, and a lot of the guys about the third, fourth days out there, just terrible sick. But I think it was the 5th day, I didn't feel very good, so I was way in the bottom bunk, and sort of I got a corner, I didn't go. And my buddy came back, and I leaned out, he said, "Herman, lean out again. Man, you're speckled all over." So here I got the measles. I thought I had all the measles you get. But anyway, the rest of the 9 days, it was 9 days altogether, I was in a ship hospital, and then I landed in the hospital in Philip Morris. There was a steel hot with a burner, hot stove in the middle, and I was there until I got cleared up from the measles. And then they shipped us to through Paris. We stayed in the billets overnight, and then from there to Namur, Belgium. And I don't know why we did there about a week before we went to Stuttgart, and that's where I was the first few months in pulling guard, the usual tower guard, SS troopers, and then from there we went to Berlin. The last 8 months or so I was in Berlin pulling guard. Well, it was usually German prisoners, you know, and for a while it was the big shots, the SS troopers. And a few times they were guarding women prisoners too. But it was usually always tower guard. Had a 30 caliber machine gun. You go up the tower, and had an experience there too that was funny. I was going up the tower, and they had it fixed so you had to go across the muzzle after you got in. I suppose to protect you in case a prisoner came up. And I noticed just when I was going to, on the last step, going to go, I heard the bolt of the machine go, and I heard a rumpus. And I guess the guy had been sleeping, and I scared him. I stopped him, and then 2 shots went off. And about 5 minutes later, the lieutenant, the guard said, "Herman, are your pants still dry?" I don't know if he got penalized for that, I don't know. Well, like we pulled 4 hours on and 4 off on a day. And I can remember, but anyway, I went all around Germany with some of my buddies and saw the Tempelhof airport and went out to Lake Wannsee, and I didn't travel very far away, but we enjoyed it. One time we went to Hitler's bunker and started taking pictures, and that was in Russian territory. It was where he had his balcony and where he had his bunker. I don't know what they called it, but anyway, there was a Russian guard standing there, and he didn't say a thing when we were taking the pictures. As soon as we got done taking, he come up to us with his rifle and asked for a camera, and took the film out. We didn't have much respect for them guys. Man, it was beautiful, but Berlin and Stuttgart, the bigger cities, was I don't know what percent bomb, but boy, it was, when I first got to Berlin, there was a lot of streets you couldn't drive straight. They were still clearing out the bricks and stuff, you know. And in Stuttgart, I was there in February and March. When I go to the USO Center and I walk by some of these bombed up buildings in March, when they started to warm up, the stench from dead bodies so strong you almost got sick. I should say this, when I was in guard, you couldn't leave the guardhouse. So the guys all played poker. Well, I never played cards or poker in my life, but I thought, well, your money to try it. And I was lucky. Well, I know one night I won 4,500 marks, which was, you know, and that night I happened to tell Bruno, who was a captain in the German army when the war was on, that I'd won that. Boy, he disappeared right away, and pretty soon he come in with a suit on. "How do I look, Don?" "Good," I said. He said, "I can buy this for 4,500 marks. I just gave it to him. And you could tell like he was quite a guy. They couldn't, you know, at that time they couldn't get to. And I always brought them all my coffee rations. And they gave me tea, but I didn't care because I like tea better anyway. Yeah, when we were there, a carton of cigarettes to us was 60 cents, and you could get 3,000 marks in the German market. So I was just bought my PX rations and sent everything home, and then I did everything by cigarettes exchange. And then one time I was walking down to see this girlfriend I was going with, and was footprints coming up on me. Here it was a couple, and he was an artist. He said, "We do portraits of your wife or girlfriend or what, and for so many cigarettes." I had him do Carol and Dolores, and at that time I was going with Lyle Ray back home, and I had him do all of them. Man, he was good. He looked just like exactly the picture. And he said, "Anytime you want to come into our home." So I'd come in there, and they really appreciated. He told me one time, he said, "You're the first GI that we respect and treated you. You treat us like equals," he said. Yeah, I got a diamond, but that I finally gave my wife, and I didn't intend to give it to her because I thought I wanted to get something bigger. Being an oldest son, Mom, and she said, "That's pretty good, blah, blah, blah." I had it set. Now, since then, I bought Harvey's ring when he died and had to give her that one. Put the little stone right beside it. I think they're happy, I guess. Dad was the guy that never showed much emotions. I know when I left, he never did show any emotions to me, and when I went out the door, I saw a tear in his eye, and I said, "Oh, he does love me." But as I remember, Dad, he could do anything, but he never told us sons how to do anything. But we never did anything right. He was never quite right. Never got any compliments from him. I think it affected me to appreciate things more because I saw how terrible it was for the Germans while I was there. In fact, I enjoyed it, but a lot of things are hard, but I thought it was good for me.